Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name is Saskia Weisenseel and I am Account Manager at Orbis People. We would like to dedicate the next hour to the topic SAP SuccessFactors story reporting and how to transition to it. We give you an overview of current reporting tools, explain what story reporting is all about, and finally show you a suitable transition plan. Before we start, I would like to point out our house rules. As we are recording the webinar, your cameras are switched off and your microphones are muted. You are welcome to ask your questions here in the chat. We will take the time to answer them at the end of the presentation. Please keep your phone nearby as we have prepared a couple of questions for you. And now I hand over to our speaker, Chris. Enjoy the webinar.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Saskia. So I think everything was already said. So I think a special announcement is, and again, big thanks to Varun from sub-product management team, who will also take part here in this webinar and will have some slides and later on we available for questions. So feel free to ask your questions and I'm sure there will be plenty of. So let me just get started. Saskia already told what we will talk about. Like it's mainly the beginning of, okay, where story reporting was at in the reporting overview in SuccessFactors. Why is it the go forward solution? We will get that told by Varun. Like a little introduction into story reporting who don't know it yet, like what it is, what it can do and what not, a little demo. And then we also have like, I think the major part is like the transition plan and execution. And again, like a couple of minutes at the end for questions. So first of all, I just want to start with like doing a little bit more interaction and ask a couple of questions. So we have 3 questions prepared. Please take your phone, scan the code. It's very easy questions, yes or no. If you're like on the computer, like a colleague will also post the link in the chat. Otherwise, you just go on menti.com and there's like a Menti code here, and you will also get to the questionnaire. I will give you like a minute to just go there. Please help it out because this questions is about if you have story reporting already activated, and it would be very interesting for others to know what is the general feeling, like how many people have story reporting activated, how many use it, and who started the transition phase already. Again, we also let other consultants join here. Please, if you're a consultant, don't like participate or have one customer in mind you just like kind of proxy to, like saying like, okay, this customer has it or not, or the majority, but like just don't do for jokes because it would be just a pity to get a real perspective of companies and how far they are. Okay, and I switch immediately to some of the results. And again, if you just joined, so a couple of questions first to see how far you are in your story reporting story for your own company. So we have 3 questions prepared. The link is in the chat. So I see already 18 people answered. I actually didn't know that there's a cute like button. Okay. So that's actually very interesting because we just had a German webinar and like it was completely opposite. It was like 60% of them didn't activate it yet. So very interesting to see more international companies are actually on the other side. Very cool. Let me go to the second slide. Do you work actively with story reporting? Not sure, like, yes, perfect. So you have it activated and yes, you're already working with it. You're creating reports, you're trying out stuff. You probably rolled out something already. Let's see, at least like getting into the 20 region, 15 people at the moment. So we have around 60% already activated and like roughly 50% already working with it. Yeah, don't see that much movement anymore. So I will go to the next slide. This is probably like the dream here, you know, that guy from the office. So did you already start your transition phase to story reporting? That means like did you like had internal discussions how you want to transition, like starting with training, whatever? It would be a dream for me if yes. If not, you're just in the right webinar. Yeah, good. Also, roughly 50%. Very interesting. But thank you so much for the insights. That's already good to know. And again, if you said no, you're just right in the best webinar you can be at the moment. So let me just quickly introduce myself, and I will just for like a moment also turn on my camera. So you saw me once. Hey, so my name is Chris. I will just move back quickly so you can see it a little bit. So my name is Chris Wilpert. I work for Orbis People. I'm a senior consultant. I have a professional certification in People Analytics and SuccessFactors. I have experience and certification in SAP Analytics Cloud. I'm also certified in Workforce Analytics. I have background in like some of the modules in SuccessFactors, but overall I have 10 years of experience of all the reporting tools you have in SuccessFactors. So I think that that's like a good start of like, yeah, I really spend a lot of time with People Analytics. Now, let me quickly turn off my camera because I always feel like people like watch me here. So then we're just gonna move on. And I'm not alone here, so I would also quickly ask Varun to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. I'll also quickly turn on my camera. So my name is Varun, and I'm part of SAP SuccessFactors product management team. And I basically am responsible for reporting within SuccessFactors. So I'm looking after report stories and all our existing reporting tools as well. So I've been with SAP for around 5 years, predominantly into reporting space. And before that, I have built multiple reporting and analytics product in different domains, not specifically in HR, but I do have a background in reporting analytics for quite some time. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Varun.
Yeah.
Then we just move on into the reporting overview. So what we actually have in SuccessFactors. So before I start first talking about like some of the tools, it's very important for me to just understand that we're talking about reporting, right? So we're talking about operational reporting, and we're not talking about analytics. So for analytics, we do have like an own module in SuccessFactors. It's called Workforce Analytics. There are definitely more options that we have in operational reporting, right? So we have aggregated trend data, we just have like much more predictive analytics and like formula-based metrics. Some of them is possible in star reporting, but some of that is simply not. So if you think about analytics, or if you talk about analytics, it might be not the same thing as you would expect now for reporting, right? So this is very important to know. And also all the tools we mention now are reporting tools and not analytics tools. So let's get started with what tools we actually have available. And I think maybe that's boring for some of you because you already know, but everyone knows ad hoc reporting, and everyone probably knows Canvas reportings or online report designer. So these are both like reporting tools we had in SuccessFactors. Is like everyone probably used it in their daily reporting journey. We also have like third-party tools. So there's like an Eclipse plugin called BERT, and there's like a UCAL dashboard builder. So UCAL dashboard builder, the tool was just available for partners and SAP, but that was actually quite nice. BERT templates is just really not known really well, but again, it was built in an external tool, and you just can implement import this template, and instead of seeing the ad hoc report, you were kind of seeing this like visualization from it. But again, like moving on, this is all legacy reporting. And what we have now is store reporting. We have that roughly for 4 or 5 years. I can't remember exactly. And this is also the go forward solution. So this is basically what we're going to use in the future. And we will come to more details to store reporting like in a minute. So just to get a rough orientation, like from visualization and flexibility perspective, Obviously, ad hoc reporting was more this Excel-like stuff. And we do had like external reports, which actually quite looked nice, and we could do like a little bit more things than in the Canvas reporting. But story reporting is actually quite really nice. It is definitely an improvement, right? So in consideration of cost and work, well, it's still like smaller, significantly smaller in Workforce Analytics because it's an own module and it's basically a data warehouse, right? Again, we're talking about operational reporting, but just want to have the comparison here to analytics part. So just to give you an idea of like, okay, where we actually are with SuccessFactors, and it's actually like a big improvement. And I also want to mention Integration Center because you probably know some of the issues when with the announcement of ad hoc reporting gets like deprecated, because Integration Center can be actually used for reporting, but it should be not work the other way around. Reporting should be not used for integration because it's just not designed for it. Like I know, and like look. Like the truth is 99% of the customers probably used it for like simple integrations, just creating an ad hoc report, put it on an FTP file, like read it out with another system. But normally Integration Center is designed for that. So yeah, just want to give it a honorable mention here. So then like I want to like give the stage to Varun again, like talking a little bit about the history of story reporting and why is the decision to use it as a go forward tool.
Sure, thanks. So if you look at our overall portfolio today, so we have multiple tools. We have classic reporting or classic reports like list view, spotlight view, spreadsheet reports, and they're very old. It's basically to apply some filters, get the data out, and then use that data for ad hoc analysis, or with spreadsheet you can write SQL queries and then get data out. So that's where these were different tools out there. We continue to build on top of it with table reports by simplifying how you extract data, filtering, etc. Then we have tiles and dashboard where you can build nice tiles or a compilation of those tiles in a single place, calling them dashboard. And then you have a relatively modern tool, which is called a Canvas or an ORD. And then obviously you have your learning reporting designer or a plateau reporting designer as well for learning. So it was basically a fragmented set of tools, and our customers actually struggle to identify or go to a right tool for their day-to-day businesses. So bringing in stories or introducing stories was our attempt to simplify an overall portfolio and also take that opportunity to modernize our reporting capabilities. So we did it in incremental ways, like we introduced Report Center where we unify the actual listing experience so that you can have a single place to go to for all your reporting needs, and then also manage your different type of reports. And then we eventually want to move and have a single type of reports, which is called stories today. And we also uh, did it from a front end visualization perspective, like you have a more modern experience when you build the reports. And also at an underlying data model level, we are bringing in complete success factor data to be reportable on stories. But if you see our older tools, you may be missing, like learning is not supported in ad hoc, so not able. So, but that is what we are harmonizing the data models as well from a reporting perspective. So basically, our attempt is to simplify our reporting portfolio with stories, and it's also an evolution of our existing reporting tools in terms of modern experience, visualization, and also unifying the underlying data model. So that's what is stories all about. Okay, now moving on to next one. So we always had an intention to actually deprecate our older reporting tools, and with the introduction of stories in 2020, we did our first statement of intent publication in first of 2021 to say, hey guys, stories is a go forward solution and all other reporting tools will be deprecated. While we said this, we didn't publish any timeline when we are going to take away older reporting tools. So it was more of a forward-looking statement we made at that point in time. But we also said that whenever we make a deprecation announcement, we'll give sufficient time to our customers to actually deprecate like 2 years or so. But we already made our intentions pretty clear with the statement of intent. I understand like some customers would have started transitioning, others may not for whatever reasons. But I think our strategy or go forward strategy was always clear that stories will be a go forward solution. Okay. Uh, so so we are already on that path. So what we did was like classic reporting tools were not enabled for net new customers. We stopped enabling UCalc tiles and dashboard for net new customers with our 2311 release or H2 2023 release. And we'll also stop enabling Canvas for net new customers going forward, most likely with H1 2024. Okay. Tables will continue to enable until we have a capability for our customers to do data extractions for their ad hoc analysis. Now, with our deprecation announcement, we have got a lot of feedback on table reports and also Canvas reports. So the feedbacks are like two different in directions. Okay, for example, customers are okay with taking away Canvas, but they need more time to transition. So we are reviewing our deprecation timelines, and we'll publish an updated timeline by mid of next month. And we have already released a statement of in our community post that we are reviewing timeline for table and Canvas. Okay. But for table, the feedback is that there is no alternate functionality to do an ad hoc analysis. Like I'm an HR analyst, I want to get data out for quick analysis, and that is not possible with stories because you can't extract beyond a certain limit. So we are reviewing that use case and probably will have some guidance shared on what's the future direction for data extraction use cases. Okay, so that's the two feedback we have got on Canvas and table. But what I can share right now, these tools will go away. Timeline may vary. We may have an alternate for table. A table stays for a longer duration. So that's what I can say right now. More details will come in March in our announcement. Okay, so currently we are on track to disable classic reports, that's list view, spotlight view, classic reporting, and spreadsheet reports by end of 2024. UCalc tiles and dashboards will go away in H2 2025. We'll give extension for Canvas and table. That's what I said earlier. And my request will be to start transitioning to stories for all your complex operational reporting needs, or basically operational reporting needs. Other advice I'll give at this point is, or not advice, basically, first I'll talk about we are already automatically enabling stories for customers who have IS/IPS enabled, so that you already have tenant available and you don't need to go to an upgrade center to enable it. So that's already being done. So we are doing it in a phased manner, starting with preview instances, and then we'll do with production. So our customers will get notified when that's enabled for their instances. The second is, what we have seen is customers have confused stories with analytics. Now the tool is wide open. You can build complex dashboards, introduce a lot of calculations on a fly. And what happens is, now with a complexity in the report or a dashboard, you are fetching the data in real time. On top of it, we have permissions. and there are complex calculations introduced. And that's where performance suffers. And this is the major uh, like grievances what we hear from our customer. But what I want to advise here is it's an operational reporting tool. Understand what it can do and make these dashboards bite sized, like a smaller, very specific to a business problem you want to solve, rather than create a one large dashboard which like tries to fit in everything. So that will be my advice here on how to go about creating these operational reporting reports or stories. So yeah, so that's what I want to say, and I'll take up questions on that later. But back
Yes.
to you, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that like everyone's waiting for that.
Yeah.
So I hope the people still stay with me to like just give you like a rough overview of what it is. I know some people maybe know, so I just keep myself short here. So again, what is story reporting? So it is like a tool which is included in your SuccessFactors platform license, so it's no additional cost. What it actually is, it's like an embedded limited SAP Analytics Cloud version, right? So there's like, it's in an independent business intelligence tool, which is SAP Analytics Cloud, and we just get like a limited embedded version in SuccessFactors. So it's not the same thing as SAP Analytics Cloud, but like I think everyone who is knowing SAP Analytics Cloud like sees a resemblance of the similarities. Again, we already mentioned it's a go-forward tool for operational reporting, and it will replace all the legacy reportings. What you need for it is Report Center and IIS, and will report on live data, right? So yes, there are still some limitations. I will talk in a second about it. There are still limitations for the tool and also in some schemas. I will show you in a second like where to read more details, because otherwise it's another webinar about it. One of the biggest benefits is like it's a harmonized data model, so it's just really much easier to bring data from different modules together. So either you want to go with goals and performance with EC, or time with EC, or recruiting and DC, or positioning. It's just much more easier than with the reporting tools you had before. LMS, again, like normally was on the roadmap. Again, you have LMS data in story reporting. It's just that you have LMS data standalone. So you cannot mix them with BizX data. But again, everything you have in LMS, you can like report on in story reporting. Also, a very important thing is the integrated content store. So there are tons of standard reports from SAP. It's basically the same thing you have with advanced reporting in EC. Like all the normal standard reports are also in story reporting, and they're really useful for a good starting point, especially for EC. And there are like piece by piece, there will be also talent modules which will get standard content. I think last release even like 3 standard reports for LMS. So definitely nice to check it out. One important point, which is a little bit different, is permissioning, which is fully user-centric, which means it fully respects RBP. So I always say the thumb rule is whatever you can see in the system, you can see in story reporting. Yes, there are special cases. There are like some of special permission, and like might be in some talent modules, it's a little bit different. Like, you know, compensation, performance and goals, there it's like more formula based with target roles. Recruiting works different with the roles, but the rule of thumb in general, especially for EC, is whatever you can see in the system, you can see in story reporting. Recommended browser is Chrome and Edge. Don't try Firefox, it's just horrible. And again, it's just because story reporting is so heavily focused on caching that, again, every browser is working a little bit different. So like some of the big benefits I want to underline and compare to legacy reporting. Yeah, might be some people are like laughing a little bit or having like a little smile on the head. Oh, it is definitely better performance. I mean, like canvas reporting was sometimes really, like I don't know, I struggle sometimes a lot or get impatient. But usability and visualization is just really great, and performance, as Varun already said, it can has tons of reasons. It's like an own webinar, like on what kind of things it depends on. It depends on your computer. It depends on the browser. it depends on your RBP. Like if you have like very complex RBP structure, yes. Imagine you're like asking something from a database and you just need to run through 1000 RBP roles. Isn't that crazy? Like, because for this one person, you maybe need to go through 50 roles and check what data he can see and what not. So it's definitely a huge reason. But like, not gonna lie, even if we're SAP here, like sometimes stability is a thing, but you also have to remember it's like a limited embedded version of SAP Analytics Cloud. So if something's changing in SAP Analytics Cloud, it can have an influence on SuccessFactors, right? So it's like, and SAP Analytics Cloud is also a relatively young cloud product, which also gets improved really, really often. I think they just changed it from monthly to quarterly. So if you remember, like even in SuccessFactors, where we just had quarterly release updates, and now just every half year. So there's a lot of things going on, and yeah, just don't get too frustrated. But there's just things to improve, and it's quite good already. Some limitations. I don't, again, like I would just jump into like another hour of webinar here if I talk about the details. You get the presentation, and there is a good documentation about current gaps for people analytics or store reporting, and also for some schema tasks, because some of the tables you would expect are just not available, which is like just how it is. I also recommend EDP, that is like implementation design principle, which has like an own section for store reporting. It just gives you really, really valuable insights in general of what things working and like what times like you struggle with something and like why you might be struggle with it. Highly recommend that. And also what Varun mentioned, like in the community, like if there's like a public announcement about it, or like you will get this adoption of, okay, when exactly get like table reports maybe deprecated or retired, you will see that in the community thread here. And like, don't forget for the like transition FAQs before you ask questions. Oh, what happened with this and here, and like how does it work with that? Have a look here before you ask your questions. I mean, not now in the webinar, still ask your questions, but in general, I highly recommend those two links to check out. Here,
Yes?
just like sorry, yeah, half an
Sorry,
hour.
you have 30 minutes left.
Yeah, thank you so much. So on the right side, just I will not go deep into it because I'm a little bit short on time. But check out like some guide rails. We already had that before in ad hoc and canvas reporting, but always good to remember like what you actually can do and what's recommended. Again, large data extraction, store reporting might be not the best point to do so. Okay, look and feel demo. I think a lot of you guys already have activated store reporting, so I will keep the demo part really short because I really want to use the time for the transition plan. So I will just quickly jump in. So I'm in the SuccessFactors demo environment. We all find all the reporting reports in the report center. That's where store reports are also. I prepared just like an example report. It's actually one of the standard reports, and I just like, make it pretty for for us and for the webinar to have like a little customized template here. So we see our logo and just give you like a little view here how it looks for the people who never saw it. Again, just quick look. So we have a lot of different visualizations. We have different filters. We can group like things. We want to like use one chart, but like different dimension. It's like an interaction you would really miss in Canvas reporting. So this is like a great benefit. Like, and also one of the cool things is like you have kind of a linked analysis where you just maybe click on some information in the chart or in the table, and then other things will just automatically get adopted and show you the details of these 4 people here who get terminated. I think for the demo, I just would save a little bit time here. That's it. And let me get back to probably the most important stuff. So now, okay, like the legacy tools will get retired. And what do you actually do now? So this is like a little bit best practice of what we had like seen in the last 2 years, because it's not just now that people start to transition to story reporting. It's already ongoing for the last 2 years. So it's a little bit best practice. Again, you have to look at your individual situation in your like company, but this would be my rough plan how to do a transition. So I have a transition plan, I have a cleanup list, I have training, a report overview, preparation for the transition, and execution. I will talk now in each detail what it means in each step. And you see on the right side here where I'm currently at the transition plan. After that, we will also talk about lesson learned. So I will like skip off some insights for that slides. So first, transition plan. If you have like a transition plan, it's just like, oh, so how we get every report into story reporting. No, I think first of all, you need to take a step back. What is your people analytics overall strategy? Again, people analytics is just a really big buzzword for overall like reporting analytics in your organization. So there's probably just more than HR and SuccessFactors. You maybe use other tools. Some use Tableau, or some might use already SAP Analytics Cloud. So you have to check out what tool you use. Who is driving actually people analytics? What goals you have? Is it like the people analytics team? Is it HR? Is it like every department is doing their own kind of thing? Is it like key users who have their hat on but like have no official title and stuff like that? And also discussing what are the reports. I mean, what we want to do in SuccessFactors. Do we want to show just reports and like maybe KPIs are showing in a different tool? Like maybe not even in SuccessFactors, who knows? I don't know. So overall, there's a couple of stuff in the strategy workshop you need to discuss. And this is pretty individual, but I always recommend taking a step back and looking at your organization and what you want to achieve with it. And if you move to story reporting, it's not just a simple task of, oh, I have 1,000 reports now and I need to get all these reports and story reporting. One of the other things is you also have to continue the operational reporting. So if you have a transition plan for 1-2 years, you don't want to start using your old legacy reporting tools and creating new reports. Therefore, you will never end like doing later on the transition and might be end up. So if you get a training, I would already recommend like starting new requirements with story reporting and not just wait. So for the training concept execution, I will talk later about a little bit more details, but obviously at the beginning of the project, you would talk about like some of the concepts, how you want to do it and how you want to execute. And time horizon, again, it plays a big role, especially now where you just really get a date where it's get deprecated. So it's definitely time to take some actions and like plan accordingly. One of the most important things for me, like where I see very often, like this is a very heavily communication project. Like just imagine all the reports you have. You will not just simply like replace them in story reporting. You will need to talk about people who created them or people who use them, like because it's like a reporter creator is not always the department head who's maybe using them. What you do with these reports and like get the people involved, and it's counting through all the project time, and it will probably take also most of the time away from the project. So a cleanup list sounds like such a silly thing, like you maybe already did it or not, but let me tell you again, if you're just, even if you have not story reporting activated yet, this is like a task you already can start right now. And this will probably save you a lot of time later on, because by experience, like 50 to 70% of the reports you already have could be probably deleted, because a lot of those reports are like either duplicates, they're test reports, or they're just like quick things oh, let me check how this looks, or let me validate something. So a lot of those reports could be probably deleted, and you can already start that again today. And the big question is like, do I really need to review all of the report? And again, you save a lot of time. If you do so, don't forget to back up or like do the hard copy, the hard export of the report, because again, if it's really like a valuable report and you maybe accidentally deleted it, it might be useful later on. And with this said, there's probably like a hard decision like here where you just need to, okay, what kind of reports I delete? I always tend to maybe delete more than you think. So if someone complains that a report is not available anymore, then you actually know this report was important. But again, very important, everyone needs to know that things might get deleted and like who I can contact to if a report gets deleted. Again, like everyone is like doing like different things, but some of the reports might be like important, but they're not executed so often. So there will be a couple of discussions. You need to figure out how you delete some reports or not. Training. So training is probably one of the most elementary, one of the most important things in the transition time. And it's not straightforward, as we said, like you have to have a training concept kind of. Who's really building the reports like now and who's supposed to do it in the future and who's also knowing the data. So like, do you want to like train like also some of the key users who might just use some ad hoc reporting, or you just train the people who are just really experts and like did some more complicated stuff? In general, also for the training, just don't forget only to report the experts, like also get some key users and departments in, because if you do later on the transitioning, like they actually never saw a story report and they cannot imagine what you can do or how it should look like. So involve the key users and departments so they at least know how it looks, or if you want them to use them too, at least show them how they could easily replace a talk reporting with like an easy table report. That also gives them confidence and trust. For the training, I highly recommend hands-on. It's just all the trainings I did so far, like the best outcome was the most hands-on, because this is where you really learn. It's the same with, I know here also consultants, if you just learn to implement a module, it's just 40% of what you really need to know. The real thing comes with real life experience, and this is hands-on. If you do the training, just don't forget to only train the story report as a tool. There's also data models, and some might be very difficult or not that easy, or like time compensation stuff. Like there's a lot of things you need to aggregate, which looks really nice because it's calculated on the fly in maybe the people profile, but it looks different in a data model. So if you have like some people who are not really familiar or maybe even not that IT affine, I recommend like also consider to train some people on some data models, especially in EC. Keep the channel open for questions. So just it counts for both. For companies, like just request maybe an additional session where you just can ask questions or like talk about a real life example, because again, training is just training as good as the examples are. If you plan a training, just don't just plan the training. Training goes naturally into coaching, because again, after 1-2 weeks or months of like really like building some reports, there will be questions coming up, and it's just so good to just have someone who's can like, you know, like plan like an additional session or like even in a group, and depending on the issues. And coaching is actually very important during this time. And again, it always depends on the end customer how often you want to use it or not. Also openly talk about open topics or gaps, right? It's also a new topic for you to learn. So like communicate that to the department. Maybe don't start with the most complicated requirement you had. Maybe just start step by step and like just gain a little bit confidence with the tool. So, okay, we had the cleanup list, we have the training. Now, actually, we have like maybe a list of the report, and now it counts down to like you need to analyze this. One of the things is like you can use usage analysis in some of the reporting tools, but they're sometimes more or less useful. They're also at different places. For a talk report, you have this. For Canvas reporting, you have this. And sometimes you get the data exactly what you want to use it for, but sometimes not. Again, there's might be like an important report, but it just get executed once or twice a year because people don't use it that often, but it's still important. So you need to discuss how much it will help you and how much you rely on this usage analysis if you prepare like discussion with departments or key users. But definitely what you should do in this report overview is like criteria like things as, okay, this is a prior, like high prior or low prior or whatever, how often this reports get scheduled or not, who's the owner, potential mergers and stuff like that, because this Excel is actually the best preparation if you go into the departments. And you probably will also recognize, like, you maybe have like 20 people who create reports, and they're for different departments and key users, so you need to cluster them a little bit. Again, this is the best preparation you can have, because at the end, you will not do this entire project by yourself. You need to talk to the key users and departments. And like ideally, you maybe even find some more reports during the prior list that you realize, okay, this could be probably deleted. So, okay, maybe now you have the Excel, and now it's just getting really excited, because with this, you go to organize workshops with single users or user groups and departments. So you review the current report situation. You have your Excel. Oh, we have 30 reports for recruiting here. So which of them you consider as important and you actually want to prioritize that you want to install reporting? It also gives you the chance to set expectation. Again, most important, operational reporting versus analytics, to go and say, okay, this is possible, this is not. Again, if you're mostly build a report already, that's probably easier. But like, you know, you talk with departments and like, oh, I want actually this, and like now I want this. So again, focus on the requirements you already built, because again, you have a timeline now, and you need to make sure that none of the important reports are just like vanished in 2 years. Also set expectations and show off, not show off, but like show some limitations. So like might be you report on something and that's not possible the same way you did it before, or like it's just different. So just talk openly about it. And ideally, what I see mostly is you have maybe like 30 reports, and it turns out that this department or key user group, they actually need 5 important metrics, and you just can like merge different reports in one dashboard, which actually, yeah, that's quite common. If you've done one of those workshops with a department or user group, you easily can create like a blueprint for those workshops and like figure out what worked well, what didn't work well. And with that, you just go into different user groups, because again, you will have likely a lot of reports already. So you need to decide, and depending on your resources, if you just go through every department and build the reports after, or you have like a parallel approach and like, yeah, just have maybe a tighter timeline to just talk with a couple of more people. Also, what I see very often is, because it might be a little bit different, but always also early on clear up permission topics. So who's viewing the report? Again, there are some difference to before. Most likely, in my opinion, it's recruiting, but also other areas. And you see, it depends who's like really consuming the report. Yeah, I save my time with jumping off topics here with the last release update. If you have like this kind of things, and now like you're really building stuff, please don't start like, oh, this is story reporting, I built this and here. Like really take it on a professional matter and build like first like a standard story template. Because now with story reporting, you do have more capability, and it's nothing better than really also use the full functionalities of exporting in PDF or PowerPoint, and like live data with that. So make it available that it looks nice and like in a similar manner, right? So this standard story template is quite useful. The template functionalities are not the best, so I always recommend like building one standard like report and then just copy it and like use it. But like would be open to see other opportunities or maybe enhancement in story reporting in general. Use style guides if you have. Again, you're just in HR, you're just in SuccessFactors. Maybe there's analytics who have already some style guides you can take over. Just saves a lot of work, and like you do a common thing through all the departments, because the vision overall would be maybe to have one manager dashboard or like different dashboards who look really similar and not like completely different from department to department. If you start with execution, start easy. Start with a proof of concept. Just go through the full end-to-end process, define, build, permission consuming. How does it work? Does it work well? And like take in each department like an example, but start with a proof of concept. Don't start with the most complicated, and then you might figure out like difficult things on the later end. Have in mind, if you do this transition, again, it's not like a 3 month project or so, and you have like ongoing requirements and you build them yourself after training. Like I see it very often that people actually really like what they see and they want more. If you have like now a transition phase, like ideally focus your resources on the transition phase, because you quickly like coming up with departments who like, oh, now I want this, now I want this. And like, yeah, I think I see some risk here, but like have in mind that if you do this ongoing operational reporting and they like it, they often want more. The best practice, like for execution, would be for me, like for each user group, you have like 2-3 metrics, like in a dashboard that can useful, and they're probably are the most important. They use like weekly or like even in a daily basis. Doesn't always need to be in KPI dashboard. Can be simply like an operational list or like a monitoring or just simple metrics. Depends on the area. For EC, like leverage the standard reports you have in Content Store. Don't start from scratch. You save a lot of time if you start with some standards. And again, execution, this project is mostly communication and change management. So I would also treat it as such. Okay, so coming for some secret tips and lessons learned. I hope I get that in 5 minutes, 2 slides, so we have enough questions here. For the transition plan, mostly what I saw is 1 to 2 years. It really takes a little bit of time. You will see the details. It sounds quite easy, like even hearing this. It takes quite a lot of time to going through all of that, especially talking with so many people. And again, the goal is not to get all the reports you have in store reporting. Some companies have like more than 1,000 reports. It's just like crazy. So don't try to just build everything. You save a lot of time. It saves internal resources and like sources you maybe need to pay externally. If you don't have IIS, I mean, there's no question, like start now. Like get help. IIS is not only for store reporting. You use it in LMS, you use it in recruiting, you use it for other sub products. So I know it's maybe like for some companies like a difficult task, but I think you would need to start now, right now. It's very important to always understand and like communicate the difference between operational, sorry about the mistake here, between operational reporting and analytics. These are 2 different things, and you will quickly figure out the limits and like the importance of it. Yeah, already mentioned that enough in the webinar. Plan enough internal resources. So if you're like you don't need your partner like for everything, like doing most of the stuff. You don't need it. This is a project you can very much like 90% probably like do with internal resources. The only thing you need a partner for is guidance, especially I think through the strategic and like giving a bit guidance of what other customers doing, what worked well, what not, training and coaching. The rest, like building it, like again, you get trained and you build them yourself, and you do it anyway. If you don't have capacity, it's a different topic, talking with the partners, but it's a lot of time you can save money for if you just plan it yourself and treat it as an internal project. There are like options which I see like some people like say, oh, like we want a rapid transition at 1-2 years time, and this will get more valid like as days, months will pass. So you might skip the analyst part and just move to the departments and like ask what they really need for, maybe building a little bit more confidence and getting less work at the end. But if you have just a year left, might be you don't have that much time to talk and spend so much time on the analyst. I would still recommend like going and properly plan and analyze and like talk with different departments. But there's definitely like a rapid transition, which will become probably like more important in 1 or 2 years, because again, normally it was planned to deprecate in 2 months, 2 years. So now we get a little bit more extra time. So I think a lot of people will like have maybe a little bit more happy to take another breath before it gets deprecated. Be prepared for challenges. Yes, just I want to underline even like having SAP here. Story reporting is just great, but like like no cloud product is just perfect. The same as in all modules, there will be maybe some missing data. There will be like maybe data access, like or stool stability problems. Sometimes again, we mentioned the reasons. It's just a great tool overall, but I would still like from the feeling it's 90% I'm happy, 10% like I'm sometimes like desperate to get some things improved. But we also see great improvements in the last years, and I think especially now we get sunset dates, there will be more improvements made. For the training, recommend IT-affine colleagues who are experts in building reports. The training just takes 2-3 days. I think that's fine. Don't forget general training for key users can be done in 3 to 5 hours, 3 to 4, depends. Like have in mind, you maybe not always have like story experts who just know everything. That's just impossible. You likely have story experts and you have module or data experts. It's the same here for me. In LMS, I'm not a data expert. I would need to ask people. So if you work internally, like don't try to just, like the report creator cannot know everything. You often needs to have a partner in the department or key user who helps you out with validation or where is actually the data you really need. From the experience like now in the last years, so if you have like a training and you have enough hands-on, you can become a story expert in 6 months. This is not like this is not utopia. It's like I see quite a lot of examples. I know some customers here are also there, and like they're very, very good already. Like maybe not even the same, like not gonna lie here. Hands-on is key. Like again, we mentioned that already. It's really important to just get practice. Keep on like an issue list or knowledge base, depends, because you will likely be not alone, and it will help other colleagues to catch up. Or like you just also build your own basic. I also have it internally for workarounds. It just really helps. And again, training will not be enough. You will need coaching at the beginning till you get at least, let's say, like one expert internally to just really help out other colleagues. But highly recommend not just training, but also coaching. So now I would just open like up, at least we have 5 minutes for questions. Meanwhile, we will like read some questions in a second. Like I ask you also for some feedback that helps us to create more webinars. Just scan the code or type in the link. Again, oops, sorry about that. If you're a customer and if you're further interested, like just leave your email in that feedback and we contact you. If you're a consultant, I hope you also see that we are pretty open to share. Like at the end, we have the same mission, making customers happy and collecting more experience and like make story reporting a great tool. And again, like big thanks at this point already. And now I would ask Saskia to read some questions.
Yes, it's a longer question, but try my best. So we are using the SAC and with the implementation of SuccessFactors, the embedded story reporting in SF. When it comes now to the setup of further reporting, do you have a recommendation for which use cases to use the embedded version in SF and where we should better switch to the SAC, which offers further possibilities?
Yeah. I think, Varun, I take that. So it depends on your strategy. So if you have like a lot of users in SuccessFactors, you want to consume the data in SuccessFactors, I would definitely do the reporting stuff in SuccessFactors. If you have more complex stuff or you have like KPIs and you already use SAP Analytics Cloud, I would show that in SAP Analytics Cloud. Again, in the last release updates, we also have like a live connection. We normally had an import connection before to SAP Analytics Cloud, so we could import SuccessFactors data. Now we have a live connection. That means you get the data model, like the same thing you see in story reporting, you get that in SAP Analytics Cloud, and this helps you big time because this is live data, and you can have more flexibility of connecting other data sources in SAP Analytics Cloud. So in my, like the rough answer would be here, use SAP Analytics Cloud for like KPIs and like where you have your general and like analytics, it's SAP or SAP Analytics Cloud is still not a data warehouse where you still have issues, but I would leverage rather that. But everything you want to show like end users and SuccessFactors, and especially reporting, I would use SuccessFactors, like a work list, monitoring, like getting an overview of managers, because I don't know how it works for your company, how often they use SAP Analytics Cloud, but ideally I would push them in SuccessFactors because that should be the place where they work daily in. But again, for more capabilities, augmented stuff, predicted analytics, SAP Analytics Cloud has the advantage and gets a live connector now as well. Next.
The next question is, does Workforce need additional licenses?
Yes, Workforce Analytics is additional license. I don't want to, like, it's an own webinar about the future, and like Varun probably can also talk like half an hour about it. But yeah, to keep the answer short, Workforce Analytics is an own license, and like, yeah. Point. Next.
The last question in the chat is, will the future email distribution scheduler allow the reports to be sent as attachments?
Well, I give that to Varun.
Yeah, sure. So yes, the new scheduling framework which we are introducing will allow the reports to be sent as attachments via an email. Yeah.
In Excel format, or like you can choose which format?
So right now we support three formats: CSV, PDF, and Excel. We will be supporting Excel as well in future.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Next.
We are using table reports, inclusively historical data for some reasons, and we experienced already that some stories cannot extract all the data via stories. Is there any workaround how to get still the desired data out of SuccessFactors, example given Excel, CSV using stories?
I'm not sure I understand the beginning of the question. Like which module, like they access? Did they mention a module?
No. Employee
Okay.
Central. Thank you. Employee Central.
So I would also need to double check which information you get, because from like ad hoc reporting, that's limited. So you probably mean Canvas reporting, you get some information you don't get in story reporting. In general, if it's like listed from SAP, yeah, it's not available. And then I would check the enhancement request if they make it available. But if it's a huge gap, I don't know. Like the only thing I know that they want to do more currency, but again, I think more data will coming, but this would be an example where you just need to look in detail what data is they really missing, what table. If you're curious and if you're not a consultant, just write an email. Okay, if someone wants to ask a question like verbally, I don't know, now it's the best chance you have. And you can unmute yourself.
There's another question. Is learning analytics stable? Now, until now, it's a pain.
I give that to Varun.
Okay, so I assume it's referred to like reporting using stories on learning data. So it's about how much data is there in your underlying system, and I'll say it's not about the stability. It's about the performance, which is a concern here. We have recently released 3 learning templates. I'll say try using them and provide us a feedback uh, uh, how good or not so good they are. But what I can tell is we are working with a learning module to make sure the schema is optimized for reporting. Right now, it's not, and that's where is the challenge related to performance of learning stories.
They actually did something really cool with some EC reports where you see in the overview how long in a test environment it will actually take, like with small data sets and big. So like imagine like you have a company with 1,000 employees and one with 100,000. It's actually really interesting how it's actually not a big difference with the scaling, but I think with LMS you probably have that as well. I also see that in other, like if you have like a weird join and you like get a lot of tables in, like yeah, it's just it's a little bit painful, but it's not the tool. It's more like how much data you want to get in, and it's just not done for huge data extractions.
Correct.
Okay, other than that, I would just close it here. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Varun. Thank you, girls, for helping out a lot. Appreciate. And then if you have questions and feedback, let me know. And have a good afternoon or day, whatever time zone you're in.